What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Arrow After Show here, live at theStream.tv. Just want to remind you that we're live right now. This show is amazing. We're going to get into this in just a second, but subscribe to theStream.tv right now while you're watching. We've got so much to discuss. This season is just becoming a little intense for me, I think. I'm happy to be back after having a weird round of food poisoning.
Welcome back.
Thank you. But let's forget that for a second. Let's talk about nothing is beyond redemption. That's what I'm going to say for tonight. I'm Adam Kruger, and with me tonight we have Linda.
Hi.
And Olivia.
Hi, guys.
And Carolina.
Hey, guys.
And so let's dive into this, shall we?
Absolutely.
I think we have to talk, first of all, Sara in chains. I know there was a lot of stuff going on in this episode with Lance and the crazy task force horrible cops, but we have to talk about Sara in chains first of all. First and foremost, let's jump in there. So for a change, we see Laurel bringing Quentin into the picture and telling him what's going on with Laurel. Let's discuss that.
Yeah, shocking. For the first time ever, she's actually being open with her father, which is kind of a good step for Laurel. A step in the right direction, I think.
Right?
I think her whole thing is about family, though. I think throughout the show, she's always been about her family and her sister. And even though they had problems with her dad and all of that, family is at her core. And
Yeah.
I felt like that was an emotional moment for her.
Cool. Well, I mean,
For me, when she brought her dad in, she did it in the creepiest way possible.
Yeah.
She had this psycho twinkle in her eye where she's like, "Daddy, it's your little girl." What?
Yeah, but
This is
creepy.
I have to come to her defense, though. I honestly think that family is that important to her. And she's thinking that her sister is going to be just fine because she keeps saying, oh, she just needs a couple more days, right? That she's going to be back to normal Sara. She doesn't realize that it's never going to be normal Sara.
Just walking a fine line between demented and delusional.
I mean,
okay, so this could very easily degenerate into a Laurel bashing situation.
No.
Hold on, because I feel like it can be somewhat warranted to a degree. However, let's just talk about because we almost just touched on it for a second there with Lance's reaction to Sara. Because he, think about it this way: his daughter's been dead for a year, and now all of a sudden he sees her and he doesn't know what's going on, and she's in chains, and she's she's literally like a zombie beast or something. Let's talk about that. I mean, what's that got? That's got to be pretty crazy to have to deal with that. I mean, he went on a roller coaster ride on this episode, and I definitely want to kind of touch on all those moments. But I mean, what do you guys think that does to a father?
I mean, he's had the most crazy emotional roller coaster, I feel like, in this episode and this whole show. His children keep dying and coming back to life, and I feel so bad for him. So I mean, yeah, it was shock and it was awe, and I don't know if he believed it at first, and I hope that she doesn't die again. Let's just say that.
Right.
well, I'm thinking his emotions must have just been out of control, but at the same time, you're seeing your daughter in chains. What did that do to him? Clearly that's not just Sara, the daughter that he knew. This is some beast that he doesn't know anything about and doesn't know how to react to it.
Yeah.
Right? Can you imagine your daughter has been dead for a while, all of a sudden, boom, there she is alive?
I'm happy I don't live in the Arrow world. I'm just gonna put that out there. Because to me, I have a kid. I'm like, no, don't, no. But here's the thing.
Well, I was gonna say, as he's having his reaction, he can't believe that his one daughter brought the other daughter back, and he's like, "That's not my kid." He's like, "No, Daddy, it is. Look at the photo. That's me." And he's like.
Yeah.
This is a moment, what's it called? It's like a bad, crazy Alfred Hitchcock movie, and he's like, "Is this my life right now?"
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're saying is that's how he's feeling in the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's
the Twilight Zone.
Yeah,
That's the
it
word
was
I was
kind of a
looking for.
Twilight Zone-y
He felt like
situation
he was
for
in Twilight
Captain Lance, but at the same time, I mean, that's got to be a lot of mixed emotions, and I think kind of Laurel, she's sort of unhinged a bit in this episode.
Yes.
I mean, she's a bit nuts, with the pictures, like you just said. She's, like Norman Rockwell, here's then this is me, and this is you, and this is, who's that? Yeah. I feel like she's almost talking to a 3-year-old, trying to get him to recall who's in the family photos. Yeah. And then of course Sara tries to kill her. She chokes her with a chain, and it's a no-go. So I mean, what do we feel about this? How do we feel about this whole scenario?
I mean, like I said, I think we're going to see Sara next week in The Walking Dead. So tune in. She will be the zombie. But yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty much typical Laurel, becoming unhinged and doing something ridiculous. But I mean, she has some redeeming qualities, and hopefully we'll see those.
Right, and I'm trying to redeem her a lot here
Good,
because I
good.
think that, and I keep sounding like a broken or repeating arrow, but she loves her family, and her sister was her all. Let's remember that from all the different seasons and how important family was to her, right?
Yep.
So her sister's alive. So she wants to do, even if it seems like crazy because it really was, like, here's a picture, do you remember? Well, you haven't even talked, or she hasn't even talked yet, so how is she going to remember this picture? But I gotta say, like, you know, love makes you do different crazy things. Think about the last time you were in love. You probably did some crazy things.
I will say this to jump in with Laurel, to Laurel's defense. When you love somebody and you don't give up, that's a good quality. Well, I mean, it could be a stalker quality too. But you know, if you're trying to save the day, you know, it's a good superhero quality to never give up. So we'll go there. I know Carolina was about to just jump in and say something.
No, I was just gonna say, to be fair to Laurel, somebody had to bring her back because Sara is going to be in Legends as White Canary. So the plot has to evolve somehow. I just feel like, of course, in typical Laurel fashion, she goes about it in the most freakishly way possible. Like, the most freakishly way possible.
Right, yeah. And I think that, too, I mean, we know that Constantine's going to come on the show next episode, which is going to be really interesting, and I know that that's going to play into it in a very interesting, very cool way to kind of bring Sara back to normal. I'm curious to see what relationship Oliver actually has with him and how he knows him, which I'm assuming will be shown in flashback flashback format. But before we get too off topic, I want to talk about how Lance then, after getting advice from Damian Dark, which that's a whole other episode, a whole other portion that we're going to discuss. But after he gets the advice, he goes to try to actually shoot Sara and put her, like, take her out, right? And I was wondering before the episode, like, is he going to back down? Is he going to get stopped by Laurel? And of course, it was the latter. And so let's discuss that scene real quick. What did you guys think of it?
I don't know. I was like, oh man. I was half hoping that Sarah's gonna jump up and like choke him out and run out of there because we knew she had to disappear at the end of the episode somehow. Because there's no way she was staying chained up like some sort of werewolf in silver chains. Why silver chains? Anyway, she's not a werewolf. But so anyways, I don't know. I thought it was like a weird transition. And then again, you see Laurel really trying to save the day and just falling like just a little short.
We're talking about after he leaves and gets ambushed by Liza Warner. Is that where you were going with that?
Yeah.
So he does. He leaves and then gets attacked by the crooked cops, and then Laurel comes in. You're right. She does. She tries to save the day and gets tasered or tased. I don't know what the past tense word of tasered is. It's tasered, tased, whatever.
Tased.
She gets knocked out, and it's like she's always trying to kind of do things, and she's doing the best that she can, and then it just doesn't happen for her. It's like, you know, it's kind of rough, right?
It's like the kid that ran the race and the last meter he just passes out. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, like not even one guy, Laurel. Not even one. You couldn't even take one guy down. It's okay.
She did. She had one guy, but then someone got her from behind and.
But she kind of saved the day with the Canary call, right?
That's true,
At the
she
guy,
did.
she blew the guy into the van. So that was kind of a redeeming moment for her.
She does redeem herself, and you know, like I said, I loved Laurel at the beginning. As the series has progressed, I've liked her a little less, I'm not gonna lie. But then in the last few episodes, up until like the last two, actually, like up the beginning of this season, I was like, oh, Laurel's kind of, she's holding her own, she's doing her thing. But then with the whole Sara thing, like, the things that I was not as fond of kind of started to rear their heads. But again, bringing back to Legends, someone's got to bring her back, so it might as well be Laurel.
Exactly.
So let's talk about how, okay, so Laurel goes to see Sara, she's gone at the end, she disappears. Where does she go? Not The Walking Dead. Where did she go? We're taking bets. What do you guys think?
I'm gonna go ahead and say that Damian Dark has her.
Oh, interesting theory.
He found out that she's back. I mean,
he knows.
obviously he knows that she's back, and he came and he's going to do something with her, maybe use her as leverage again with Lance. So we'll see.
It's a good theory.
Yeah.
It's true.
All right, so
Or
I guess
she could end up in the Flash universe, and that could be what our 2-episode crossover that they've been teasing us about is about.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. That would be a beautiful thing, I think.
Trouble for the Flash with a unhinged Sara. And then it's their problem to figure out now that they lost Firestorm, so it's like a whole.
it's going to be. I think I can't. First of all, I can't wait for the crossover. Personally, I've read that the Arrow episode is going to be more like a Flash episode, and vice versa, which is just going to be great. And I think it's going to bring the two universes together. So with the whole Sara thing, the Beast is unchained. She's out. That's it. Let's talk about Green Mayor.
Green Mayor.
Yeah, because I like hashtag Green Mayor. Guys, use it. Dirty Cops. This is kind of like the main through point for the whole episode. This is what kind of tied everything together. The core plot line. Basically, we have Oliver bringing everyone into. We open with Oliver bringing everyone into Blood's old office, and he brings everyone together and shows them. And first he announces his mayoral run to the crew. That sounded drunk. He announces his mayoral run to his crew, and so he does that and they push back on him. Like, what do we feel about that? They were kind of like questioning his decision.
They were so unimpressed by it. But also, I want to talk about that lair. Is probably the coolest lair I've ever seen. I was like, can I please live there? I want to live there. It's my favorite.
Yeah, it was a good upgrade.
Yeah.
It was a good upgrade. But I also think, too, bringing it back to, their response, I think that they were just like, we know that every mayor has been killed, or every mayor that has tried to run has been killed. And as the Green Arrow, he has so much going on that they were just like, wait, what are you doing now? You're going to be the mayor?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it wasn't a surprise to Felicity, and when we get to the end, when he finally announces, which, I mean, I'm jumping ahead, but you do see her ovaries flutter when she's watching him, and and he's giving his speech, and you can just see, like, she can see the future of Oliver Queen and their children. I mean, it was that seriously solidified their relationship right there. Like, if she wasn't fully in love with him before that mayoral announcement speech. Bang, like,
nailed it.
Done, finished.
But do you think, because, we have this theory amongst all of us, do you think with Ray possibly being alive that might impact this illicity love affair?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's going to throw a wrench in it for sure. But I mean, come on, it's a superhero show with love stories that are going to be tested. It's got to happen, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think that Ray's character is going to move on because of Liza Warner being introduced. And for those of you that don't know, she's a big comic book character. She's in all the Atom, well, not all of them, but she's in a lot of the Atom comics, and she's kind of like this badass cop that has this perfect recall memory where she can remember senses and smells and places and everything pitch perfect. So I want to see that come into play. I think she's going to get busted out of jail, and we're going to see more of Miss Warner. Cool. And raise the roof for Miss Wesley coming in from True Blood. It was exciting to see that. So maybe we'll get some fans from there tuning into Arrow now.
Right.
But I'm excited to see where that goes. But I think that Ray's going to end up with his own universe and his own pack of things because he is totally coming back, and I'm like freaking out.
We know it, and we're gonna get to talking about Palmer and all that, and we will. But first, I want to talk about a good scene where Oliver goes to talk to Captain Lance, about running for mayor. He tells him, and he wants his endorsement, and the exchange that goes on there. Let's discuss that for half a second.
Well, we all knew that was not going to go well. I mean, even Laurel was like, I don't think you should do that. But I mean, things changed, and they obviously did this episode, so.
Right.
I mean, in the captain's defense, at least he's like, well, you'll be harder to kill than the rest of them.
Right, exactly. So he kind of sort of endorses him in the beginning. I definitely we have to talk about Oliver's and Captain Lance. I don't know why I keep calling him Detective. I'm just used to him being Detective Lance. But we have to talk about Quentin and Oliver's relationship in this episode because there was a lot of like father-son role model, overtones that kind of played through this. Which, I mean, I thought it was a really powerful episode in that respect, and we're gonna get to all that. But let's just talk about just the whole dirty cop situation and what was going on in the episode and how they actually figured everything out. And like how, we've got a bunch of rogue dirty cops who are saying they're not criminals, killing people and trying to. I don't even know what they were trying to do with the. They were just trying to make money for themselves, really.
Right, it's desperation.
Under the guise of saving the city.
Yeah, I think it's the desperation, right? So we heard them talk about how they're stuck in a corner. They're trying to feed their families, and Star City is so crazy right now that they have to do whatever they have to do, right, in order to survive. And I think that what I thought was interesting was you're doing all of this, but then you're saying you're leaving the city.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, what was the point of doing all this. I mean, I guess they were just going to try to get as much money as they could and then leave. But I mean, they did stem from an anti-vigilante task force, so that's why they were so trained. And then
sorry, go ahead.
No, and I was just saying, and I mean, I don't know where my thought was going.
I think there's two aspects to this. I think it was about making the money, but I think it was also used from the writer's perspective of really trying to tie together Lance and Oliver again, like bringing Quentin and Oliver together. So, because I want to talk about this, like, you know. Captain Lance again has to be there to kind of bust it up. He realizes that it's cops. You know, Team Arrow comes in to kind of save the day. Team Arrow. I don't know. We'll just call them that.
Yeah.
You know, they come in to save the day. All this stuff is happening. You know, again, Laurel gets beaten. She can't even get a canary cry out because they shoot her with a stun gun and she's done. Yeah. If you can't see, but there you go. She's giving the thumbs down. But you know, she redeems herself in the end. So let's not forget that. Well, she did.
Yeah.
She did. She came back and Canary cried when the guy tried to shoot her. She's like, see, your tech isn't working. We've got Cisco friends, and Felicity friends. So
she did.
So screw you, she says. But so all this stuff happens, and then Oliver finds out about Quentin and Damian Dark, and he confronts him in his apartment, which to me was, I think, well, that was one of the most powerful scenes in the whole episode.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was heartbroken, and you could feel it because that was someone that he idolized. That was, like you said, his father figure, and the disappointment in everything that he said, you could just totally tell that he was heartbroken. He's like, I wanted to show you the man that I could be, and you know, now it's like, who are you?
Yeah. He realized that, you know, this guy that he looked up to for so long was just like everybody else, and just as sneaky and just as conniving, and that's super depressing.
But a big, like, you know, hats off to the actors. That was such a well done scene by them. I absolutely loved it. I thought their chemistry was perfect. They had great delivery. I bought it. I completely bought it. Like, they were completely in that moment. So way to go, guys. Good acting.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, you know, the father-son dynamic was brilliant. And I thought it was very cool that Oliver actually had the moral high ground for a change, and he was able to basically be like, listen, man, you were the guy, and you're not the guy anymore. You still look at me. Is this the same look that you had on your face that I have on mine right now? Because you have let us down. And I thought it was brilliant. I think that, you know, getting them to come together was just. You know, again,
very powerful.
I'm going to say it, like I said, we're not beyond redemption for this episode. There has been a lot of redeeming things that have gone on. Let's just, before we. You know, and again, what kind of brings to it also is when Lance actually saves Oliver once Liza gets the drop on him, like towards the end. So I want to talk right now about the Quentin and Dark situation. Before we do, guys, remember we're live, so tweet in using the hashtag #ArrowAfterShow. We will possibly feature you on the show, but definitely check the live chat right here on YouTube. We'll talk to you about that stuff too. If you guys have, you know, comments, theories, questions, let us know, because we're going to address those in just a little bit.
Quick question.
Yes?
For Flame Crew, they're saying, will we answer their questions? But I don't know what your question is, so say it again so I can read it. What's your question, Flame Crew?
Send the question in. Carolina's on the live chat right now, so we'll get to that. Let's talk really quickly about. You know what? I want to talk about the flashbacks on the island. I want to go there. Let's talk about that in this episode, because a lot happened. We still don't know exactly what's going on. I've heard rumors that the Russian woman that he saves is how he's going to learn how to speak Russian, and maybe she's from the Russian mob. Do we think that's possibly the case?
I mean, yeah, I think that's definitely the case. I think that's how he learned to speak Russian. I also you know, like the fact that you saw his goodness. You know, the other officer that he was with said that you're such a dark soul, but I don't know. For some reason, I didn't see that. I saw that he was just this kind man who's trying to help this Russian lady, you know, save her life, basically.
Well, go ahead. Take it, Linda.
I don't know if we're going to say the same thing, but I thought that was amazing. Either foreshadowing, because it was a flashback. I don't know what the proper term is, but. You got to remember the Arrow, how dark he was in season 1 and 2, and that darkness and this flashback, and the Green Arrow is now, you know, a lighter, happier, in love Green Arrow, but he called it, he nailed it. Like that darkness he taps into. And
But that goodness was in him too.
Well, hold on. Yes, Oliver is a good person. He becomes a hero. He becomes a hero. However, remember, this is a dude who would torture people for information.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
if you're gonna torture somebody,
You have to be
there's a darkness in there for sure. So he helps her. He hides her in a cave and then basically asks for a favor for later. We don't know what that was.
And that little thing that he can do with the
Pressure point?
pressure point. I mean, come on. I need to learn that.
Yeah, no. Well,
To fake dead?
To fake death.
Do you want to fake your death?
or fake someone else's
It's like a special skill.
The tax man's after you. So Oliver, he goes back to the camp after this happens, and then they ask to see a body. I mean, in his position, like, what does he do? Obviously, he fakes her death.
Yeah.
But we didn't see that coming, and obviously in the Arrow world, like it just works, right?
Of course, it works.
And then that's when he calls him the Dark Dude, and then he shows him everything. But then at the end, the soldier finds his comlink.
Yep.
What do we think's going to happen there? Is Oliver going to kill him?
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
I think so for sure.
Or
'Cause
maybe
that-
he will use his like master powers of manipulation, because Oliver's a good manipulator where he can spin the story and turn it into like, oh, well, actually it's this guy, and then build kind of dissension within this band of brothers that's been really close.
Yeah.
Because
That's
whose
fair.
bag did they
Possible.
find it in?
That's true.
Whose
You never
bag
know.
did they find it in?
Yep.
Okay, so Oliver's sneaky. Let's talk about one more thing before we toss to commercial. We have to talk about Palmer texts. Instead of Palmer Tech. Get it? I punned. So Felicity's asking for help from Curtis to decode the text that's happening on her phone, and he recognizes the code, but Felicity shuts it down. What's up with that?
And why is she so against it? Do you notice in this whole episode she was so against it? This guy is desperate to reach out to her. And, you know, your phone was going crazy last episode. Phone was going crazy before that. And now your phone is going crazy now, and you don't want to know why?
Well, she kind of explained why. I mean, her boyfriend died, and she doesn't really want to relive that whole situation. I mean, I agree with Mr. Terrific that she probably should have listened to it, but, you know,
For all she knows, it's just an algorithm coming back, and
That's
she doesn't
right.
want to
Yeah,
relive.
exactly.
So
That's right.
we don't know that he's alive yet. He could be captured by Damian Dark. We don't know where he is, but we do know that she comes back to see him, and he uses the example of his brother to kind of change her mind. I thought that was very slick.
Yes.
What did you guys think?
Excellent. Because it opened.
All right.
Go ahead.
I'm just freaking out over Ray because I know it's the Atom. And I saw like some fan theories here on YouTube where like, oh, maybe it's her dad. And I'm like, no. Whoever her dad is going to get a hold of her completely different. Guys, he's making the lights flicker in their headquarters.
I think so, too.
Totally the Atom, desperately trying to get through to her. Like, listen to me, pay attention. And then they left us with like a 2-second fragment of what the message was. And I'm done. Can it be next week?
I know.
He says,
Like,
sorry,
I'm so
sorry, it was
excited.
my fault.
Yes.
I know.
What
I'm
is
so
that?
excited. I really I can't wait for them to decode this and to find out what's going on. And there's a big theory online that maybe Damian Dark has him, but maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's just trapped somewhere in his own company.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, joking aside, he also could be really trying to get a hold of her to be like, girl, you need to slow down with my money.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
He's broke,
Yeah.
and she's like, fund the mayor campaign and fund the Arrow Cave.
Which
and
was
She is
fund
burning
this.
through it.
You know,
So
She
we
is
could
burning
also be going through
quickly.
it like, listen, woman, you need to back up.
So we'll end the Palmer situation with a big WTF. We have no idea what's going on, guys. Right now, if you guys have theories, questions, comments, tweet them in using the hashtag #ArrowAfterShow. Also hit the live YouTube chat, and we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with you to answer those questions. We'll talk about you possibly. I hope so. We're gonna look at them. So we'll see you in a bit, in a little bit.
Just in case you missed it live.
In case you missed it live.
In case you missed it live.
In case you missed it live, this is for you.
I love it. That was freaking oh my God.
I didn't see any of this. Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. I was like,
you get here?
Kill him. Kill him. Definitely kill him. We're cool.
Shade left and right, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies, let's put your 2 cents in it. Rub me the wrong way and the right way.
But you were like, well, we want to know what's going to happen.
That was killed.
We just want to say we love you all. Thank you so much for your support. You are all seriously the best in the world. Another beautiful summer at theStream.tv. Here we go, guys.
Thank you for being here. Peace out.
Bye, guys.
Welcome back, guys. Thanks for sticking with us. So we've got, first of all, just a quick couple of shout-outs to AmellCity.net. Thank you guys for being amazing. Also, we've got Kamikaze all season long, so thank you guys as well. We love you all. So let's talk about some YouTube questions. I think, Carolina, you've got a couple of YouTube questions on there.
Yeah, Flame Crew had one, and
ones.
she wants to know, or he wants to, I don't know if it's a guy or a girl.
Maybe it's many.
But Flame Crew would like to know, do you think that Laurel will ever find out from Lance that he's been working with Damian Dark?
That's a good question.
I think she's going to find out from someone else, and it's going to throw a wrench in their whole daddy-daughter relationship.
That's a good possibility. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I think. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe. So
I'm just basing it off of the thing that she's like, I promised you I wouldn't keep secrets anymore this episode.
And then
so if she were to find out that her dad was the one keeping secrets from her this time, you could see that flip and you could see the different dynamic in the relationship. Yeah. Maybe we'll get something more exciting for Laurel too out of it.
That would be fun. Yeah. That would be fun. Do we have another YouTube question, or should we move on to?
Just if we think Arrowette will ever be on the show, I don't know. We don't have the the written scripts in advance, so we're just as excited as you are as things show up. But it could be cool.
Yeah. So, guys, first of all, thanks for watching and sending us your questions. I have one blog forum question from the forum on ksitetv.com, and it's from user Haggard01. That's his handle, or her. Well, I'm assuming it's a he. And the question is, what does Green Arrow mean? Okay, after seeing the recent Arrow season 4 episodes, it's got me thinking, what exactly does that mean? I mean, the Arrow writers have always been talking about making Oliver the Green Arrow, but after seeing like 4 seasons of that process, I'm actually wondering if in that attempt, they have deconstructed him down to nothing. Is starting to seem like they're more of turning him into a Boy Scout Superman type of figure, but I could be wrong. What are your guys' thoughts on this whole thing? I have thoughts. Tell me yours first.
I mean, he's going to have to go through a transformation to eventually be part of the Justice League, because the Green Arrow is a good guy in the Justice League, and he doesn't do things out of anger or revenge or spite. And with all of these series converging to lead us into Legends, and maybe eventually we'll get a live-action Justice League on TV. How awesome would that be? I would like to see Stephen Amell's character continue on as the Green Arrow. So, you know what? Kudos to the writers. I keep doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that he's a Boy Scout watered-down character. I think he's actually stronger, because to show restraint is actually a lot harder than to just put an arrow through someone's eye.
That's right.
You know, and he does take it to the violent extent that he needs to, but when he doesn't need to, he doesn't do it. And I think that is a greater characteristic than to be evil and dark. We know that he's gone through that, and so he's evolving. I think it's an evolution as opposed to boiling him down to nothing. So that's my answer, and we can see it with him running for mayor. He's trying to step out into the light to do it as well. So it's more light instead of darkness, which I think is wonderful, because that's how you fight the darkness.
Yes, exactly.
So, guys, you can tweet at us all week using the hashtag #ArrowAfterShow. Please do that. We will feature you on the show possibly, and send us your questions, your theories, your comments on the YouTube video below. Be sure to subscribe to theStream.tv right now while you're watching, and we will definitely be checking in. A big again thank you to AmellCity.net and to Kamikaze. We will see you guys next week, same time, same place, and we look forward to it. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye, guys.